was the one spine-chilling sight you still can't comprehend. My name is Ethan, and I'm not one for ghost stories or anything that smells like superstition. I like things to make sense, cause, and effect, logic that works. But there's one moment in my life I can't quite explain, and it stuck with me like a splinter. It happened a few days after my grandfather, Henry, passed away. It was late, maybe close to midnight, in our small, cluttered kitchen. The kind of place where the linoleum floor curls at the edges and the fridge hums too loud. My mom, Sarah, was sitting at the table, her face buried in her hands. She'd been crying for hours, the kind of crying that comes from a place so deep it's almost silent, just shaky breaths and the occasional sob. Granddad's death hit her hard. He was her rock, the one who'd raised her through tough times, and now he was gone. I was only 16, and seeing her like that, broken in a way I'd never seen before, made me feel helpless. So out of the only thing I could think of, I walked over and wrapped my arms around her, squeezing tight like I could hold her together. The kitchen table was a mess, covered with stuff we brought back from Granddad's apartment. There were old photos of him, smiling in his fishing hat, standing by the lake with a trout he'd never stopped bragging about. A couple of his flannel shirts were folded, haphazardly, still smelling faintly of his aftershave. And then there was this old radio, a clunky, beat-up thing from the 80s with a cracked plastic case and a bent antenna. It hadn't worked in years. I remember Granddad fiddling with it sometimes, cursing under his breath when it wouldn't pick up a signal. The batteries had been dead for God knows how long, and it just sat there on the table, useless, among the other relics of his life. Mom's sobs had started to quiet, and we were just standing there, my arm still around her, when it happened. Out of nowhere, that damn radio let out a burst of static, loud, harsh, like someone had cranked the volume to max for a split second before it cut off. It wasn't a gradual crackle, like you'd expect from some faulty wiring. It was sharp, almost aggressive, and it filled the room like a shout. We both froze. I felt Mom tense up in my arms, her breath catching. My eyes snapped to the radio, sitting there lifeless on the table. No lights, no hum, no nothing. Just silence after that 1 second scream of static. I don't know how long we stood there, staring at it. The air felt heavy, like the room was holding its breath. Mom's crying had stopped completely, and her hands gripped my arms like she was anchoring herself. "Did you hear that?" she whispered, her voice small and shaky. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. My heart was pounding, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we weren't alone in that kitchen. I'm not saying it was Granddad. I'm not saying it was anything. But in that moment, with the weight of his absence all around us, his photos, his clothes, his smell, it felt like something. Like maybe he was there just for a second, telling us he wasn't gone for good. I don't know. Maybe it was just a freak electrical surge, or some weird coincidence. But that radio hadn't made a sound in years, and it never did again after that night. We didn't talk about it. Not then. Not ever. Mom just wiped her face, gave me a tired hug, and said, "Let's get some sleep." I followed her lead, and we went to our rooms without another word. The next morning, the radio was still there on the table, silent and dead as ever. I thought about tossing it, but I didn't. It's still in a box somewhere in the garage, along with Granddad's fishing hat and a few of his old photos. I don't know what to make of it, even now. I'm not the type to believe in signs or spirits, but that night felt different. It's the only thing I've ever experienced that I can't explain, and maybe I don't want to. Sometimes I think about Granddad, how he'd laugh and call me a silly kid if I told him I thought he'd haunted his own radio. But deep down, I like to think it was him, just for that 1 second, letting us know he was still around.